Not a matter of if, but when crisis will rock your world. I'm Roshini Rajkumar, crisis strategist, licensed attorney, and host of The Crisis Files. Thrilled to introduce The Crisis Files' new travel and lifestyle contributor, Todd Walker. Todd is a media personality and travel journalist who's known for his Todd About Town features, no matter where in the world those take him. He's here for the case file I call Mastering Rewards. Do you have a credit card with perks? Are you in a loyalty program with your favorite airline or hotel? Most of us are, but are we maximizing all those benefits or throwing away buckets of rewards? Todd, you are just the person to give us the insider's take. Let's start with credit cards.
Backing up just for a moment, this is a confusing category. Credit cards, for sure, are one of the categories within the rewards program that everybody has questions on. We continually get flyers in the mail and different mailings and different emails saying things such as, sign up for these bonuses and you'll get this or that. But there's costs associated with so many of them. So we're hoping to demystify it just a little bit. But starting with credit cards, as you suggested, probably the biggest programs right now are American Express, Capital One, and Chase. Those are the credit cards that pretty much everybody signs up for. And what you want is, like, for example, American Express. You have to look at the fees. The Reserve card is $650 a year. So if you are going to sign up for the Reserve card, be sure you're signing up, number one, at the right time. I waited and waited and waited because a couple times a year, they offer 100,000 bonus miles.
For just signing up.
Just signing up. So all these cards do. So, Roshini, when you are looking at the cards, evaluate which card you think is going to be the best for you, and I'll walk through them. So American Express, that card is primarily going to appeal to the Delta traveler because you're going to be getting different access to the lounges, for example. You're going to be getting upgrades by using the American Express card, but it is all driven by how much you're spending on that American Express card.
And it really isn't. Full disclosure, I am an American Express Reserve card holder, and my airline of choice is Delta, partly because I am a Reserve card holder. But what we do, my husband and I, is we use it on a lot of different purchases. The catch, though, is I pay that card off every month, so that I'm getting those miles are banked in, and it's only rare when I let a balance carry over.
Yeah, and that is probably one of the most important things. If you are going to join one of these programs, be sure you are watching your spending, obviously, but the way to get to the high diamond level status, which I think one of the two of us in the room are diamond level.
As of right now,
yes,
I am diamond level.
No, I am not.
And you travel so much more. But it's
but,
because your clients pay for your travel.
Right.
You don't have to buy your ticket.
Your diamond level status because you put everything on your American Express card.
We're talking when my company bought out the lease of the car I drive, I asked, could I put the entire amount on the Reserve card? They said, no, you can charge 5,000 of it. So then I financed the rest. But I got those 5,000 points.
I did the exact same thing when I purchased my last car, and they said same thing, $5,000. So to be specific, if you are going to be primarily traveling Delta, you do want to look at the American Express card. And if you are looking at status, put everything on that card. Absolutely everything on there.
I mean, even groceries.
Right. And you put your groceries, your gas, pay it off each month, and that's the way you're going to continue your status. Now, I'm right one under you, so I am platinum. My credit card spending is not like yours are because my travel is basically paid for by my clients. If you're American Express, it's Delta. But if you're looking at some of the other ones like Capital One, what's nice about theirs is you can then take your spending and you can use them on multiple platforms. So you could use them on a ticket for Delta. You could use it on United. You could use it on American.
And this is important for people to know because whether it's business travel, personal or family travel, you might not be in a convenient place. For example, the state of Washington.
Right.
There's a lot of Alaska Air going on there. There are people that use American only in certain parts of the United States and even in the world. There are certain airlines that are favored by that part of the world. So these are all good questions to ask, though, before you sign on the dotted line.
Absolutely. So look at how you plan to use your miles and then make your decision on your credit card. Because as I said, the top 3 credit cards for sure that you're going to want to look at are the American Express
card. And these are
card.
mostly always points for miles?
Yep.
Points. That's really what it is.
Yes, it's points for miles. So if you're looking at them, the Chase Sapphire Preferred is the top card. And then the American Express, if you could get to diamond status. But the card that you're looking at is the Reserve card. Now, there's many people right now that are saying the Reserve card is so expensive that you might want to look at the Platinum card, which is much less expensive. So if you're not going to be using some of those programs that they have, then spend less money and go to the Platinum.
Well, I mean, would you say a good just check-off rule is if it costs $600 or $650 a year for that Reserve card, are you at least getting one free ticket? Did you earn enough miles that $650 worth of an airline ticket or tickets you receive?
Right. I have the Platinum card, so I get a companion ticket every year, which I'm sure you do.
I do.
But the way I maximize my spending, or the way I really justify it, is the American Express Reserve card. Every single month, you get a $20 Resi credit. I use it absolutely every single month.
I have not been using that.
Oh, my gosh.
I did not realize this.
Every single month. So I'm really close to the sushi restaurant, Yumi. So I go to Yumi.
In the Minneapolis area.
Here in Minnesota. Across the country, which many of our listeners and viewers are, you have to look at it and you have to say, go use your Resi credit. $20 a month. So you're looking at it's costing $650 for your card. If you use it, which I do, that's $240.
And so what is the Resi credit for people who don't even understand what this is?
All you do is you sign up for Resi, you use your American Express card to pay for your dinner. And
at those places.
Places. And there are so many across the country.
I mean, I cannot believe it. I feel like I've gypped myself for the last 4 years. I didn't even know I had this.
Right. And so when I travel, one of the very first things I do, I monitor that I've used my $20. And if I haven't used it, doesn't sound like a lot, but when you think about it, that's $240. I look when I'm traveling and I say, oh, I haven't used my Resi credit. Where do I want to have dinner tonight? And I'll go to a restaurant and I will, if I get a $40 dinner, I've just paid $20 for dinner. And so it's a great credit.
Yeah, $240. I mean, that's no laughing matter. I mean, to the ladies and the fashionable men out there, and you are one of them, that's a pair of shoes or two.
Absolutely.
Maybe a couple on sale.
So now we've just taken $240 off. Now, I hope you use this credit. Every single month on Uber, you get $10 credit.
I personally needed, this is like a true confession, little did I know how much I personally needed this episode, Mastering Rewards.
So we right now have taken your Reserve card, which was $650. We've taken $240 off of that, and we've taken $120 off of it for your Uber credit.
I'm like making money having you on the show,
I know.
Todd.
So be sure to look at that.
I will.
And that's very important.
Okay. And then are there other credit cards you're aware of that give you points that you can use for something other than airlines?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Both the Chase and the Platinum card from American Express all can be used for multiple things, such as hotels, such as booking vacation packages. So look into it. Think how you plan in the coming year to use it.
And I'll also give a shout out to one of our show partners, Huntington. It is a bank all over the country, different regional presidents, and they have credit cards and they have tools. So definitely look into if you are going with some of those regional banks or even community banks. Do they have credit cards that give you rewards?
Well,
that's free money.
I'm a Huntington Bank customer. I have my card through Huntington Bank. Yes. I mean, you can get bonuses right there.
All right. I love it. Okay. So kind of connected to the credit cards, just other nuances we need to understand about airline rewards when it's loyalty programs, maximizing these benefits. I know, we talk about Delta because I fly Delta. A lot of people fly Delta, but every airline has different rules for its clubs in the different airports, right?
Right.
What should we be looking at?
Okay, so one of the things that yes, we'll start with Delta. The Delta clubs just went through a massive remodel in many of their markets. They're beautiful clubs, but here's the problem. The Delta clubs, there's waiting lines in most of the airports now to get in because the programs have expanded so much and so many people have signed up for them that the exclusivity has really, really changed. Now, if you have the Reserve card, you right now only get 15 visits to the club. So that just started February 1st. So now when you're signing up, and if you are thinking, well, I'm traveling quite a bit and I'm going to want to use those clubs, is that a card that you're going to want to use? Where like the United clubs have different sister clubs that you can go to in many, many different airports.
And it's unlimited.
Yes.
I mean, you really have to be a bit of an investigative reporter with
absolutely.
these loyalty programs.
But right now, what I'm looking at for me, even personally, is maybe deciding, I mean, the points guy is somebody that many people follow, and he's very, very popular, and he's the expert on this whole topic. He's saying, don't just look at the airline programs, look at the credit cards, and then look at how you want to distribute your points from your credit cards for travel, for vacations, for hotels, and go that direction rather than locking into an airline program.
And I'll just share a personal anecdote. We have an Athleta card. And so Athleta is owned by the same company as Banana Republic, Old Navy, Gap. So you could have whichever of those brands you prefer, and that card is good at all of those places. The card is also good in purchases elsewhere. Well, the Athleta card will send these offers for one whole month. If you use this card for gas in restaurants, instead of 1 point, you get 5 points. We use that Athleta card for groceries. We use it for medical copays, those kinds of things. It's a nice way to track personal household spending. But then what's so exciting, Todd, is when I go to Old Navy or Athleta, I've got all this free money on the actual clothes I need to buy.
Isn't that fun?
It is. I'm like, I've had it for a few years now. I wish I'd had it sooner because it was all those years that I was paying upfront money for all my clothes.
But it's great. I do the same thing. I mean, even look at when you're using Amazon. You get Amazon points and you can start building credit on your Amazon purchases. The Banana Republic label and the Old Navy label, they all have their points programs, and then you end up getting free clothing.
And you can use them too at those outlets. A Banana Republic outlet, you can also use those points. Okay. Let's get into hotels because this is where it gets really complicated.
I find it really confusing as well. But
and you're a travel guy.
I thought I would take on probably the top programs, and it's the Marriott Bonvoy, the Hilton Honors, and the World of Hyatt. Those are probably the biggest programs, but breaking them down, what makes them different? The Marriott Bonvoy has the largest global footprint. So once again, if you're somebody who's going to be traveling internationally, you might want to look at that one. But your points vary greatly from the other programs.
So on the Marriott Bonvoy, because there are a lot of different Marriott properties, from high-end to very economical, can we use those points at any of those properties?
Any one of the properties. So once again, if you are thinking of traveling, domestically or internationally, look at the properties that Marriott has in those destinations you're going to, and then that might be the best program. My suggestion is absolutely every time you check into a hotel, sign up for their loyalty program. It never costs you anything, and you immediately get rewards such as later checkouts, and many of the programs had third night stay free.
Really?
So be sure to sign up for the program. Like the Hilton Honors, it's the easiest to earn points on. So if you're looking at just wanting to accumulate points for travel, that's the one you might want to use, but they're not as valued as high. Now, the World of Hyatt is the best value per point. So
what do you mean by that?
It's like if you have $1 is probably more like $1.50, where the other programs would be $1.
It's like the Canadian exchange rate right here.
That's exactly
World of Hyatt. Thank you so much.
So those ones are probably the ones that you want to look at that have the most value to them. But the third night stay free, for sure, look at that.
Yeah, and take a long weekend. Maybe you're with the kids. I mean, all of these things. This is so much information. I'm sure people are taking notes right now.
I mean, and there's always upgrades on those too. So look at that as an option. Upgrades in your rooms. And a lot of them give you free Wi-Fi, or they'll give you free access to their clubs right there on the properties.
All right. So you are really a travel pro. It's always important when I have someone like you on the show, especially now that you're our new travel and lifestyle contributor. What are some pitfalls that you want to make sure we all avoid?
Well, first of all, people get very confused. And I'm doing it right now. I have to go to a travel conference for journalists in Miami. So I went online and I looked and I thought, okay, do I use points or do I buy the ticket? The ticket is $329, which is pretty reasonable. And I'm going down there on business. So do I pay for it?
So you can write it off.
Right. So do I pay for it or do I use points? I've accumulated quite a few points. So what the calculation stipulation is you want to get $1.50 per point. So, for example,
and no more.
Exactly. So that is your goal. So start calculating it that way and say, does it make sense? But you want to get like to the 1.5 is what you want to consider when you're buying your ticket. So in this case, it's costing me 24,500 miles because I have the reserve card. I get a reduction on the amount of miles that it costs to buy a ticket, so I'm using that. So that's one of the pitfalls. Look to see if it makes sense for you to buy the ticket or for you to use your miles. One of the other pitfalls is not using your miles. I don't know about you. I know you travel quite a bit. I mean, do you use your miles a lot or do you store them up?
Well, I have been trying to use them. Here's what I will tell you. I have a card. Their travel rewards and getting flights out of them, it's a very complicated system. Well, I learned from that particular bank, I could turn in the rewards for different things. So instead, I got $150 worth of Starbucks gift cards. And I'm in Starbucks quite a lot. So that was really of value rather than spending or wasting the time to try to figure out how to use all of those points to convert into travel. This was not my reserve card on Amex. It's a whole different card, but I've just found their travel reward center kind of wonky. And even to get the Starbucks gift cards, I was with the banker in the bank who was helping me get that figured out. So I say for me, I need ease.
Yep, you need ease, and I agree with you, and that's why we're tackling this subject right now for your audience. It can be very, very confusing. So one of the pitfalls is not using your miles, definitely. A lot of people store them up, and what happens is they devaluate. So you definitely want to go out there, use your miles. So one of the things you want to do also is look at booking high-value experiences. A lot of people don't realize, like even through all the different rewards programs, you can book the entire inclusive hotel, airline, your flight, and I just did this recently.
And a lot of different airlines and
all
brands
of them do
have
that.
that.
And be sure you're flexible with your travel dates. So once again, one of the pitfalls is people go in and they say, I'm traveling this is exactly when I want to travel. If you expand that a little bit, you will find that you're using less of your reward miles and you're going to be using a greater value for your miles that you're using.
What are some other pro tips that you can leave us with?
Yeah, one of the other pro tips is don't let your points expire. A lot of people think that your points go on forever. Now, Delta, they do. They do not expire. But on American, your points do expire. And I have miles that expired on American. They just simply go away.
So you got to keep some kind of spreadsheet going or
Absolutely.
something.
Keep looking and decide, hey, I'm going to use these. And like you said, buy gift cards, buy a magazine subscription, do something. One of the other pitfalls is really look at your annual fees for any of these types of programs and misunderstanding the program rules and restrictions. So read the fine print, and paying too much for a credit card that you really aren't going to use and that does not give you the benefits because you're not going to be traveling a lot and you're not going to be visiting the various clubs, then don't do that. You can be more frugal. And one of the other pitfalls is locking into a rewards program if you're not going to be dedicated to travel just with that airline.
Really, really great tips. And Todd, I'm so thrilled to have you as a new contributor on the Crisis Files. I thought we'd take a moment, though, to just share a little bit about how you got into this whole travel journalism space, because we see people out there like you. I think a lot of us are a little envious. You get to do all this. It's your work. Does it feel like work or is it fun?
The misconception is a lot of people will say to me, well, how come you don't bring somebody with you? You're going to these great places and want to be fun to experience it with others. Here's what a lot of people don't understand. My day usually starts just recently. I was in Phoenix and Scottsdale. I had a breakfast at 6:30 a.m. and I didn't get home that evening till after 10 o'clock because I'm there as the guest of Scottsdale or the guest of whatever city I'm going to.
Or a brand.
Or a brand, yes, many times. Or like Viking. I've done a lot for Viking cruise lines. And so when I'm their guest, they are booking me from morning to night because they want me to experience everything that they're proud of so that I share all the wonderful things
as
of this
their brand ambassador.
Exactly. So you go morning to night. So it's not just going and sitting by the pool. So if you bring somebody along with you that is expecting it to be a vacation, or there's things you may not want to do. I mean, there's, experiences that I'm like, oh, is this really of great interest to me? It doesn't matter.
You've got to do it.
You have to do it. It's of interest to the brand for me to experience. So you simply have to make the experience.
Or if you do take a friend or a family member or a romantic interest, they have to know you're kind of out of.
Absolutely.
They have to be able to handle life on their own.
You have to be self-sufficient and do your own thing. But for me, it's worked out. I've been able to travel to many great places, but it is work when I go there. But I've got to see many places in the world that I never would have seen.
Right. And I'll just preview a little bit. We have got some fun future case files planned with Todd. And so he's going to bring us his expertise, some really unique topics that we'll get into. So stay tuned for those. And I also want to just let people know that Todd and I go way back. We worked together at a Minneapolis TV station for a couple of years. And then I went on to Detroit. You stayed there for a while. And then you left to do this work. But that life in TV, I feel like, gives you such a base for so many things.
It really does. I mean, it was a great experience for me. We both worked in the Minneapolis market at the same time. I had done reality TV before that and hosting a reality television show that was syndicated, and then went to Fox. That's where Roshini and I first met. And then I would frequently see Roshini as we both went out here in early morning runs around the lakes here in Minneapolis. I would see her and give her and her running group a wave. She'd give us a wave. And so, yes, we go way back. And then I started doing travel writing, started doing travel journalism for some of the dailies here, and then have done a lot of radio with national radio programs, and then TV spots talking about travel. And then it, led into doing more and more of travel journalism, which has definitely worked out well for me with my TV background as well.
Yeah, I mean, it really has. You're just a natural host. I mean, definitely always love your energy on the airwaves and just the unique twist that you bring to things. And I also wanted to share this with our listeners, our backstory together, because even though we kind of went in and out of each other's lives, when I launched this show in August of 2022, The Crisis Files, and then you started listening and you dropped me little messages or like things on social media or comment. So then when it just naturally came to the time, I said, Todd, we got to get you on the show. And then it evolved to you're our new travel and lifestyle contributor. That backstory also gives it a level of trust.
Oh, absolutely. You always hear that it's based on relationships. And for me, I just enjoy Roshini, the energy that Roshini brings to the world itself, and also just because of your rich history and, professionalism when it comes to broadcasting is impressive. So when you approached me, I was like, wow, it's an honor, number one. And number two, it's going to have a professional feel and professional touch. And it's all about relationships. And we've had a long-term relationship. And it's certainly been everything that I would have expected and more. As you said, backstory, we've all done many, many different things in the journalism area, and there's nobody that I've worked with that's as organized, as professional as Roshini is, and that's why it's just a treat and a joy to work with somebody that has that professionalism.
Oh, thank you, Todd. Well, that means a lot coming from you. And I share this partly, too, to remind all of our listeners that you have those people in your life, and you never know where their journey takes them, where your journey takes you, and where there are meshings and crossovers and mutually beneficial things, which ultimately are so much fun.
It's all about relationships.
It is about relationships. It's about living in the light. And so I thank you for your great will over the years of my journey. And we are so excited, the entire team of The Crisis Files, to have you on board.
Yes, we have a number of great topics coming up about travel and about other aspects of travel and lifestyle. And if you have any ideas, please send them my way.
Absolutely. You can definitely find Todd on Instagram and X at Todd P. Walker, Todd P. Walker. And then, of course, you can find us always on all the Crisis Files handles. Today's case file is powered by Huntington. Huntington, home of early pay. You could get paid up to 2 days faster, and there's no cost. It's your money, so stop playing the waiting game. Find out more at huntington.com/yourmoney. Direct deposit and eligibility requirements apply. Follow the show on YouTube and Instagram at The Crisis Files. Rate, review, and subscribe to The Crisis Files on your platform of choice. Check out our website, thecrisisfiles.com, to catch up on all case files and to share ideas for future ones. I'm Roshini Rajkumar. Join me next time on The Crisis Files.